This quick video recording provides instruction on the fastest and easiest way to log into Syneos Expense, update your profile with your banking information, create your expense report with attached receipts, and to submit for reimbursement. This video assumes that the self-registration process for the project in question has already been fully completed and the profile has been fully activated for the user, at which time they are able to log in and use Syneos Expense to request reimbursement. In this demonstration, we will plan for 3 expenses to be submitted: a meal, a parking expense, and a personal mileage expense. These examples may or may not be representative of a real-world example and are more for demonstration. Please refer to any company-specific documentation that you have been provided about what expenses are allowable for reimbursement and under what conditions. The website address for Syneos Expense is found in the email communications pertaining to your self-registration request and activation. Click that link and you'll be taken to a page that appears as the one you see on the screen. To sign in, provide the user ID and password that you established at the time of self-registration. Select Login. This takes us to the Syneos Expense home page. Before you begin working on your expenses, select the icon in the upper right with your initials. That will take you into your profile. From here, you'll want to expand the reimbursement section. This is where you'll need to update your bank account information in order for you to be reimbursed for your expense report. Select Add New. Identify the type of account, provide the routing number, provide your account number, and the effective date, which is basically today's date. Select Save, and your profile information has been updated. Once your changes are saved and the banking is updated, choose Expensing on the left navigation menu. Select the action tile to create a new report. Enter the name of the report. As an example, Interview for ABC Company 07/05/2022, and enter the start date and the end date. In some cases, the same day may apply for all expenses. However, if you have expenses that occur over multiple days, you should adjust the dates to accommodate all dates that expense activity have occurred in. As an example, 7/5 through 7/6 if this extended one more day to include additional activity. Once those 3 pieces of information are entered, select Save. This creates your report and takes you to the page in your expense report where you can now enter specific expenses. I will select the action tile to select the category for my first expense entry, a meal. Use the drop-down menu to choose the category, enter the transaction date, and enter the amount. Select Save, and the expense entry is created. On the resulting page, you'll see highlighted in red any information that is required to complete this expense entry. You may need to scroll down in some cases. For this example, I only need to provide the receipt. To attach the receipt, select the Upload Receipts button and navigate on your computer or device to where the receipt image is that you want to attach for this expense. Select it and confirm. The receipt will upload and be linked to the expense entry. Click on the receipt thumbnail and review it in a larger window to make sure the details are clear and legible. Click Cancel to exit the viewing window. Saving the expense using the blue button in the lower right returns you to the expense report, where you can use the menu buttons to add additional expenses if needed. Select Add Expense in the upper right, and this time we'll select Parking. Choose your date, the amount, and go ahead and save. Again, scroll down, find out what's required for this expense entry. A receipt is required. Again, we can use the Upload Receipts button. Select our alternate receipt, or navigate to find the appropriate receipt. Confirm. And now you have this receipt linked up with the expense as well. Make sure to save using the blue floating action button in the lower right. And you're again to return to your expense report, where you can now see two expenses in the report and the totals have updated in the upper right. Lastly, let's select personal car mileage after choosing Add Expense. This category is only allowed to be used under certain circumstances, but we want to make sure it's understood that there is a difference in how this special expense type is entered. After choosing personal car mileage, select Save. This initiates the mileage entry wizard. To add your trip, click on the action tile for Add Personal Car Mileage. There is a 6-step guided process. On the first step, you want to enter your date of your trip, optional purpose information, and select Next. From here, you'll be prompted to enter the full addresses for both the origin and destination of the trip using your vehicle. Entering those details will allow Syneos Expense to calculate the distance and the reimbursement amount for you. As an example, I would enter the details for home and company ABC designations if those were my origins and destinations. Select Next to proceed to the third step. It will show you the environment on the map, of which you can verify that that looks like the appropriate location that you entered. If it is not correct, you can always use the previous button to go back and make edits or corrections to the address that was entered. If it is correct, you can simply select Next, and that will take you to step 4. And here, you will enter in the information for your destination. Select Next. Once again, it will ask you to confirm on the map if that appears to be the correct location and environment. And select Next to go to step 6. When both addresses have been added and you proceed to the last step, this shows you the calculation for your mileage based on the addresses that you have entered. In this case, it's 184.53 miles. You can see the map that presents generally the trip that was taken. If you need to put the return trip in at the same time, switch on the toggle for round trip. That will create the return trip when you hit the Save button. Ignore the toggle for Is Offset. Leave that set to No. Scroll down to view the map, select Save, and this commits the trips to the Mileage Wizard. You'll now see them individually listed with the reimbursable amounts for each trip. I can select the blue floating action button on the lower right to add more trips if needed. Otherwise, I will select the green Done button, and this returns me to my expense report. You can now see the 3 expenses that have been entered, and again my totals have updated in the upper right. If my expense report is now complete, I can click the Submit button in the upper right to send this report on to the program administrators for review. It will ask me to confirm my submission. Please review any messaging that's presented for you. Select OK. And you've been returned to the expensing homepage, where you can now see the expense report is in a submitted status. At this point, I can simply log off of Syneos Expense. However, if you need assistance while you're working on your expense report, most questions can be answered between use of the company policy link on the left and/or the knowledge base that is accessible by the icon in the upper right next to the icon with your initials. This one opens up in a new browser tab, and there will be a menu section here under Report Level Submission to review various topics. You can always navigate back to Syneos Expense, go back to expensing, and/or log off if complete.